Hello there. This is a assembly guide for the 3D printed Hamilton Standard Propeller that you may have bought the STL files for from my Etsy store under Cool Model Guy. So here we're going to talk about how to put these propellers together once you've printed out the parts. For printing the parts for the Hamilton Standard Hydromatic Propeller, I use these settings. These are directly from my slicer program, and it's an old printer. This is what I need in order to print sufficiently strong parts. This is the instructional video for assembling a 3D printed propeller. It's the Hamilton Standard, and I'm going to be making the 10-inch diameter, 4-inch pitch propeller. These are raw prints. My printer is a 10-year-old kit build printer, so it doesn't print very cleanly, but serves my purposes. Alright, so we're going to take the raw prints just as they come out of the printer and get them ready to assemble into a flying propeller. Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to do is take my prop reamers and ream out the hole to the correct size. In this case, it's the third step. This is a 5/16. And go at it from both ends to try to get it as even as possible, changing the position in my fingers so that I don't skew the hole to one side too much. Okay, we're almost through this one. Alright, now these hubs included in the STL file folder will be anywhere from a 1/4 inch hole to a 5/16 inch hole, depending on what your prop shaft is. Okay, there we go. All the way through. And then I'll check it against my prop adapter here. It fits. Okay, so this one is not cleaned up, so as you can see it doesn't fit because it's got all that stringing on the inside. Now when I print, I have to print kind of a, well, what works best. I have a bit of over extrusion, and I've settled on that because if I under extrude it to the point where I don't get any artifacts, sometimes the layer adhesion is not that good. So I want good layer adhesion. There we go. A nice strong hub, nice strong propeller blades. And there we go. Okay, so the hole's been reamed out. That's good. Now, as you can see here, maybe, there's perhaps a bit of gappage there. So the next step is going to be 60 grit sandpaper. I have mine mounted on a piece of wood here, and I'm going to take this rear hub and I'm going to rotate it around. Now, it's a 3-blade propeller, so it's easy for me to reposition my fingers to do all 3 blades circulating around here. And I look at it, As you can see up here, it's not sanded. There's just still a bit of a shine here, so I'm going to continue sanding for a little bit. Now, depending on what you want, it doesn't have to be totally perfect. Here, there's that shine. That's where I pried it off of the print bed. So, a little bit more. All right. That looks pretty good. Now I'll do the same for the front hub. All right, that's not quite where I'd like it. Not yet. Now I sand in circles. That's called lapping. It's a lot more precise than going straight, because when you go straight, your hand tends to rock. Going in a circle, you're evenly spreading the load, and every couple of revolutions I reposition my fingers so that I can turn the hub while I'm sanding it. All right. That looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Okay, now we're not going to do the insides yet. What I want to show you, though, is some other tools that we'll be using. A file, very important. This is an old file, but it's been very, very useful. A rotary tool. I don't want to use that. And I have a set of carbide bits here, which have a variety of shapes. For some of the holes, I use this very narrow conical. This one. All right, that's where I want to remove small amounts of matter from, or plastic from, let's say, the recessed areas for the lock nuts. I want to make sure that I clear those out without deforming those hex holes. Okay, so there's a variety of shapes. I use tips with a flat end, or some. Here is a cone with a narrow flat top. And of course, this one is 1/8 with a flat end. Alright, so I have a variety of others, including mill bits that fit, but this little kit, fairly inexpensive. Got it off Amazon, of course. And it has a variety of bits, and you can see from this debris left in them some of my favorites. Here's another flat end with not quite as much of a side face. Okay, so for the propeller blades now. This is the support material. I use support material on the propeller blades to make sure that that it prints properly. And I've written with the Sharpie marker the numeral 4 for 4 pitch. Now I want to show you something here. I took the opportunity to print up a bunch of these. These are 10-inch diameter, 4 pitch. And I have a whole bunch of these. It's nice to have extra blades on hand. Here's what happens with these propellers. If you hit the ground with them, the blades will shatter. But they'll shatter into a lot of little pieces which don't go flying off very far. The hubs, on the other hand, very rarely sustain any damage. So you can go back to your workshop and build a new propeller, just get some new blades. So I print up a lot of extras. Alright, so what I need to do is remove this support material. And for that, I'm going to start on the inside and break it towards the tip. Now, you don't want to go in the opposite direction because you don't want to split the blade by accident. Alright, so there we go. Okay, now I've lost part of this blade holder right here. It's still inside. So I'm going to break this around and I'm going to glue that back on with CA glue. Oops. All right, there's that end. Okay, now I'm going to leave this support material attached. I'm going to get my CA glue. Put a small drop there, and then I'm going to grab a toothpick. It can be round or flat, and I'm going to spread the CA glue out evenly. And I leave the support material attached so I don't have to touch that CA glue. Also, it's kind of the support material and the propeller blade know each other. There's a spot where it fits exactly. That's what I need. Spray a bit of accelerator. Now I'm not pressing down all the way because I don't need that much. There we go. And I'm going to let that sit for a little bit. All right, so let's get these other ones. That broke off cleanly. And this time I'm going to break away that section at the holder first, and then make my way in. It seems like every time I do a new blade or a new propeller set, I've got to relearn some things. CA glue works really well for binding PLA. There we go. It's a little rough right here, but we're going to finish up these blades with some files, maybe some sandpaper. All right. Oops. One more. There we go. And now the one where I glued the holder tab back in place. Grip that nicely there. Work it loose. And there we go. Alright, now as I said, I used a Sharpie to put the number 4 in there. As I file this material down or sand it down, what I tend to do is finish up the back end of the blade holder first so that I can transfer that 4 onto the back end here, because I don't want to lose track of it. So I have 4 and 5-inch, 10-inch diameter, 5-inch pitch. So I printed a lot of extra blades, and although this hub is new, I've got 3 hubs here that have previously been in use that I'm going to outfit with new blades. Alright, so now I can throw away this excess. Don't need this anymore.